Hey, my name is Dr. Tyler Booker. I'm your professor for this course. You may have already watched my instructor information video that's posted on my homepage, but I wanted to go ahead and put up a video here too as we get started into this course. You'll notice there's two discussions for this week. This will be the only week where there's two discussions. The first discussion is actually a video discussion. And I've asked you guys to upload a short video just introducing yourselves, just the normal stuff you do in all your classes that you've ever taken, where you have to talk about who you are, where you're from, all those things, just because it's always nice for me to put a face with a name and to kind of have that interaction. You'll be seeing a lot of me throughout the term through videos like this, and that'll really be my only opportunity to see you unless you end up doing one of the assignments on video, and I'll touch on that in a minute as we get into the syllabus. I'm not going to read through the whole syllabus with you on this video, but I just want to give a brief introduction, kind of a course overview, and what the expectations are. First, though, I will kind of model what I am looking for in that discussion for the introduction. Nothing huge, it doesn't have to be super long. Really just, like I said, just to put a face with a name. I'll start basically as if I was doing that video, and I will tell you a little bit about myself. Like I said a minute ago, my name is Dr. Tyler Booker. I have a PhD in special education and rehabilitation, meaning I don't have a background in psychology. I do have a background with some coursework in mental health counseling, but my degree is in special education. I've been a special education teacher for 15 years. I have recently taken the position of special education coordinator for Elba City Schools. If you're not familiar with Elba City, it's a small system in Coffee County in southern Alabama. We're very close to Panama City Beach, meaning it's very hot here. However, just because I haven't had that experience specifically with psychology, I have devoted my entire adult life to advocating and working with individuals with disabilities. I was approached about developing this course and teaching a few courses in this disability studies program, and I could not have been more excited to do so because I am so passionate about individuals with disabilities and helping them. Really kind of answering the Lord's calling to come in and work with those individuals to help them achieve the best things they can possibly achieve. I am married. My wife's name is Dr. Samantha Booker. She also has her PhD. Hers PhD is in counseling. Counseling and I don't remember what it is. Counseling and something from Auburn University. We both graduated from Auburn. She chose special education as a minor, meaning not necessarily a minor in the degree, but you have to basically choose some other courses to take. And she went with special education. I went with counseling. That's where my counseling experience comes into play. I also have a lot of real world experience working with my students, some of which had more significant disabilities, some more mild to moderate disabilities, and working with them on, with mental health issues they were having. That's kind of where my passion lies with individuals with disabilities, is that mental health, the holistic approach, the greater person. You will find as we go through this term, my schema is always going to be focused on education, meaning instead of individuals with disabilities, I will slip up sometimes and say students with disabilities. I apologize. I'm trying to shift that for this course, but this is new to me. However, as far as disability goes and understanding of disability and how it impacts the individual, I feel like I am more than qualified for this course, and I'm really looking forward to approaching disability from a different angle, a different standpoint than what I have in the past. Going back to my description of myself, like I said, I'm married. My wife is the assistant chair for a university in the state of Alabama that is not Faulkner University. She is the assistant chair of the counseling department. She is over multiple campuses in multiple states along the coast in Alabama, and then also in Florida, into Georgia. I think there's one in Tennessee. I could be wrong. We have 3 children. Our 14-year-old daughter, her name is Addie Kate. She is going into the 9th grade. Actually, she just started in the 9th grade at Enterprise High School. She's a soccer player. She played on the varsity as an 8th grader last year. Very proud of her. My middle child, her name is Grayson. We call her Gray. She is 12. She just started 7th grade this year. Moving into middle school. Always a fun time. If any of you have children that are of that age or have been of that age, you understand what I'm talking about. There's just something special about a middle schooler. She does choir, dance, all those things. So she's our kind of artsy child. And then we had a happy little surprise named Finn. He's our youngest. He's 6. He is wide open. He does baseball, well, t-ball. He's going to start baseball this year. Says he wants to play soccer, maybe football, whatever. Whatever the kids want to do is fantastic. Very proud of all of them. So that being said, I have a lot going on. And I apologize. I will get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. But it may take me a little while. All of my Faulkner emails come directly to my phone, so I should be able to get back with you pretty quickly. I did put on the syllabus, I believe. If I didn't, I will post it on. Okay, it's not in the syllabus. I will post it on the homepage, and I'll also send out an announcement. You may have already gotten that announcement, honestly, when I'm recording this, but I will put my personal cell phone number on there. I'll go ahead and read it now. It's 256-295-6310. That will come directly to this phone right here. Text me anytime. Day or night. If I'm asleep, my ringer's turned off anyways. You're not going to wake me up. I will see it the next day when I get it, and as soon as I get into my office, I will respond back to you. If I'm at home and I'm able to, I'll respond then. That's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. I will respond to emails, and I generally can do that within a few hours. Definitely within 24 hours, though. I can guarantee you that. But ideally, as soon as it comes in, if it's something I can answer quickly, or I can just shoot an email back to you, I will. If it's something that requires a little more research on my part, I may be, in that 24-hour period. But I am always going to be here for you. Support you through any of the assignments, discussions, any questions, concerns, anything with other courses. I'm here. I've been a lifelong student. In fact, I'm still a student. I'm a student in the Educational Administration program at Troy University right now. So, yes, my undergrad was in business. Worked in sales for a few years, did not love it, went on and got what they call a 5th-year alternative, which if you're not from the education world, you probably don't know what that means. That's essentially a master's degree, but it is a condensed version of a master's degree to get you into a teaching position in special education. The state of Alabama offers, so you just take a few of the overview courses and then you get into the classroom. So my first day teaching was actually the first time I'd been in a high school since I graduated high school, so that was interesting. Once I finished my master's degree, my wife was accepted into the counseling PhD program at Troy University. Auburn University. I apologize again. It's been a long day. So she was accepted there. We moved there with our 2 kids at the time. I was going to get a degree called an educational specialist degree, which is an education only degree, which is kind of like a bridge between a PhD and a master's degree. But with education, every degree you get a pay bump automatically. Auburn did not offer an EDS in special ed, so I interviewed for the PhD program, and lo and behold, I got in, and then here we are. Took me a little while to get it done. My research interests dealt with post-school outcomes for students with disabilities using something called the self-directed search. You may be familiar with that, you may not. If you aren't, you probably will be soon at some point through this program. Basically, it is, those personality domains for individuals, in that case, specific individuals with disabilities, and then I compared those to some different demographic factors: age, race, number of discipline referrals, disability type, and gender, and saw if there was a correlation between those factors and their post-school beliefs or what they thought they would be able to do. And as it turned out, the only correlation was really between race. Students that were African American, first of all, did not have the same self-belief as the white students that were surveyed, and the ones that did, the ones that we were able to come up with some different data on as far as what they thought of themselves as being capable of doing in their careers was mostly hands-on work, not the intellectual, college degree requiring things. So that kind of informed my teaching style, teaching philosophy of trying to reach all the kids and help them understand their potential. So that was a very long version of what I'm looking for from you. Like I said, I just want to know a little bit about you. Why did you choose this program? What's your background? Obviously, this is a master's program, so what's your initial degree in? Is it psychology? Is it something else? Are you coming in from a field completely out of left field, like I did when I went from business to special education? Sometimes that's a benefit because you have a different perspective on things and you look at things very differently than some people that are just kind of from the individual bubble of whatever area it's in. So anyways, that's it as far as the discussion stuff goes. Discussion one will deal a little bit with the article that I posted for this week, and then going forward, every module will have a chapter of the textbook you'll read. The textbook looks like this. It is it's thick, and it's quite a bit of reading as we go through this 8-week term. However, I would recommend that going through a disability studies program like this, hold on to this book when you get it. You will need it because everything is based on it. At least, I'm not going to tell you it's completely based on it, where you're going to have the textbook to answer every single question. But it will inform the discussions that you do and the major assignments that you complete. It is very, very good reading. It goes into a lot of detail on the different topics that we're covering, and you'll see that the modules for this course are set up basically to just go through this text. It's a lot of text to read in 8 weeks, so you're going to have to dedicate some time to this. However, I think you will find it beneficial. This will give you a wonderful foundation with disability, with the knowledge of disability, how it impacts everything from the gestation time to where the individual is born, all the way up through, when they're an infant, to adolescence, to early adulthood, to emerging adulthood, all the way up to retirement ages, and those later years in life, which will be touched on in one of the modules. And I'll be honest with you, probably 20 years ago, there wouldn't even be a section about individuals with diseases and disorders related to aging, like Alzheimer's and dementia, because lifespans used to be so short. So it's interesting that we're at that point. That is honestly, and I will talk about it when we get there, it is something I've never really thought about, as far as how those different things like dementia, Alzheimer's, things along those lines impact individuals with significant disabilities, because in the past, the life expectancy just wasn't there. So that's something to think about later on, but this is the textbook. Definitely recommend buying it. There is an older version. You're going to need this one, unfortunately, because of the way it's set up and it's got some of that new information in it. So there's that. Like I said, first module is really just based off of your personal experiences and the article that I posted that is discussing what disability studies is and what difference it makes. And there's some really good information in that article. I'm not going to sit here and read it to you, but it kind of talks about some things that it isn't and talks about some things that it is and what it needs to be, what disability studies needs to be for it to be effective. It is incredibly effective. It's an incredibly valuable field. You will be in high demand when you complete this field, simply based on the fact that there are a lot of individuals needing supports that historically were not in a position to need to have supports to be able to be a part of society, because unfortunately many of the individuals, like the ones we talk about throughout this term, up until not even all that long ago, were simply forgotten about. Out of sight, out of mind, put in an institution. After this video, you'll see a little short video that I'm posting that's based on Willowbrook, which was a facility in the Northeast. Actually, Geraldo Rivera, of all people, if you guys remember him from the 80s and 90s, it was really one of the first things he did was a documentary on Willowbrook, the facility, how horrible it was, the experiences individuals had. There was a place very similar to that called Bryce Hospital right outside of Tuscaloosa here in Alabama, that my understanding was it was as bad or worse possibly than Willowbrook at times. So understanding that as we're on the horizon of disability studies, the future is bright for this area, and if nothing else, just think about the impact you'll make on individuals that need support. At the end of the day, that's what this is. That's what you are. You are individuals who are going to provide support for some people that need it, that are more than capable of being productive members of society. They just need a little support. They need a step ladder to step up on a little bit, and you can be that person to provide that step for them. So I think you'll enjoy this article. I'm interested to see what you think about it in your discussion. So that's it for the module 1. So as we go through the rest of the modules, you'll see that they're all set up the same. You'll see an introduction. You'll see, how what you're supposed to learn. Some of it's video. Some of it's watching presentations. Some of it's videos like this. Some of it, well, every module is going to have text reading to do. And then you will see there will be a section called Apply. Apply is where you're going to apply the knowledge that you've built that week and the weeks prior and in your life prior, in some cases, to that assignment. There's a discussion every week. Like I said, this first module has 2 discussions. One is that basic introduction. The second is based on that article. Going forward, it's all going to be based on that week's reading or something prior to that week. You'll also find that as you go through it, there are 2 major assignments for this course. Major assignment number 1 is an essay. It is based on your knowledge, the text reading, research you've done, the different things like that. It's called a concept comparison essay on intellectual disability and developmental disabilities. It's basically, you're going to use the information you've learned to discuss what those things are. 3 to 5 pages, APA format. Any questions, concerns, problems, ask me, text me, email me. I'm here to help. There is a link in the module section. It's right above module 1. It says Ask Dr. Booker. Click on that link. It's going to take you straight to the discussion. If you want to ask me a question in the discussion, if you think everybody in the class needs to hear it, go that way. I'll be on the Canvas page every day. Probably mid-afternoon to late afternoon to check it and see what's going on there. And I will reach out to you through that discussion if you ask me a question and answer any questions or concerns you may have. The second major assignment is a narrated PowerPoint. And that's going to be based on support services and interventions. And there's a whole section on that. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to look at what support services and interventions are. What are the things that are done to help individuals with disabilities succeed in the world? And you are going to look at those and make a determination on what supports and services would be beneficial and why. There's a rubric for all that. It's not that difficult. However, again, if you have any questions, concerns, please let me know. That's what I'm here for. That can be done a couple ways. In PowerPoint, you can record a narration slide by slide. Or I am perfectly fine, if you have the ability to do so, for you to use something like, I don't know, Zoom, or I don't know if you can do it in Teams or not. I think you probably can. I'm perfectly fine with you doing it presentation style. Making a video, if you've got a way to share your screen, to be able to see you and your screen, and as you're talking through that, do it like you're presenting to a class. Nobody is going to be watching it live. I'm the only person that will see it. There's a place for you to submit the assignment. Whichever way you want to do it is fine with me. The one thing I will ask, though, is if you do the video version where you're presenting it, please, when you submit it, go ahead and submit me a copy of your PowerPoint as well. That way I have it to go by to make comments on it if that's needed. So that's really the assignment piece of it. It's not too terribly assignment heavy. The discussions are not difficult. You are going to have to respond, just like every class you have, probably to at least 2 of your classmates. Have meaningful discussions. Respond in a way that A, is not hurtful or harmful. Because if we have any issues with that, I'm not sure exactly what the process will be, but there will be some repercussions if you are hurtful or harmful in any way. This is a safe place for us all to be, to express experiences. If somebody discloses some personal experiences, who are we to judge them for that? We're not. That will not happen. If there is any issues with that, we'll have discussions separately about all that, but I don't anticipate that being a problem. So just know, disclose as much as you're comfortable disclosing. I would never ask anyone to disclose anything about themselves they're not comfortable with. If you have a disability and you want to discuss your experiences, that is powerful, super powerful. But I also understand why you may not want to, and that's okay too. But coming into a program like this with a disability, first of all, a master's program with a disability is difficult. I applaud you for making the effort, and I will do anything I can do to help you, as I will with anybody else. Number two, the impact you can have on other individuals with disabilities when they see you in a position to where you are an advocate, you are working with those individuals in a position of authority and a position of knowledge. That is so incredibly powerful for other individuals to see. It also gives you a unique perspective on supports and services. Whether it's the same type of disability that you have, that the individual you're working with or not, you can think back on what it meant to have those supports, how they worked for you, and how they could be implemented in a way that more than likely I never could, because I'm not coming from a situation where I have a disability. So pretty powerful stuff either way. So last thing we're going to talk about for this video, for this module 1, is just the content outline. Again, you read the course objectives, you're getting all that stuff in the syllabus that's linked in this module 1. Obviously, first week is just introduction and overview of the course. Module 2 is the first week of the textbook, where it talks about just an introduction to disability. It talks about definitions. It talks about things like person-first language. Person-first language is huge. More than likely, since you guys are in a field or looking into a field like psychology or education or whatever, you're probably familiar with person-first language. But if you are not, it's important that it's, used to, people would be called a disabled person, or heaven forbid, even not even really all that long ago, mental retardation was still what individuals with intellectual disabilities were called, and it was nothing for somebody to call somebody an R-word person, like a retarded person. First of all, that word is incredibly offensive. Don't use it. It's intellectual disability, and I would caution you that you may hear things in texts, you may see things in videos throughout this program that don't use current definitions, names, and they also may not use person-first language. That's just based on things that are, they were acceptable at the time the videos, the text, or whatever was written or made. So just understand that, but also in the world, you're going to hear people that don't use person-first language, that say things like MR, all the things that we know are offensive and we know as professionals shouldn't be used. Many times that's not coming from a place of malice by those people. It's coming from a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding. If you're not in this field, you may not know that intellectual disability is what we refer to individuals with that significant disability as. You may not know that you should call somebody an individual with a disability instead of a disabled person, because we know that the person is the most important, and then whatever their disability is second. That's what person-first language means. So just know that as you go through this program, you may see things like that, and also you're going to encounter people in the real world, and it's always great to educate. Don't judge. Don't be confrontational. Given the opportunity, you can explain, hey, it's individuals with disability, and explain it just like I did. I've done that with people before, and I can't, probably 99% of the times I've ever had that conversation with somebody, they apologize, that I had no idea. I am so sorry. People are people. That's okay. Person-first language is fairly new. All right, so Module 3 deals with human development and individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Module 4 is etiology and conditions of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Number 5 is support and intervention for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Module 5, actually it's Module 6, but it's section 5 of the textbook. That is the one that's going to be really important as you work through your narrated PowerPoint, because that's where it starts talking about supports and interventions. That's where you'll kind of choose where you're going and base what you're doing for your PowerPoint from that. Again, please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. That's what I'm here for. All right, then the next one will be intellectual and developmental disabilities through the lifespan. That's an important one too. I touched on it a minute ago. That discusses everything from before the child is born all the way until death. And again, life expectancy used to be like 35, 40 was considered a good life for an individual with a more significant disability. It's not the case anymore. you're seeing individuals with significant disabilities live full lives that are, on par with the life that an individual without a disability would live. So that brings up some pretty unique concerns and things that research is still ongoing with, like I discussed earlier. Then you're going to get into health factors for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And then finally, future directions of disability studies. That's module 8. When you get there, you're almost done. And I'll just give you a little bit of a spoiler for what we'll talk about in that last module is the future of disability studies is you. You are the future of disability studies in this area and any area you go to. Potentially disability studies around the world, depending on if you end up having some kind of groundbreaking breakthroughs or groundbreaking research. You are in a position new to this program that is still fairly new. Like it talks about in the article, over the last 10 to 20 years is when disability studies has really become a big thing. You have the ability to change the world, one person at a time. And even honestly, if you only reach one person and truly change their lives in your entire career, now that's probably not going to happen. The likelihood of you only making a difference in one person's life is almost zero. But even if it does happen that way, you've changed a life for good, forever. And if you're in this for the reason you should be in it, that's enough. Obviously, you have to make money, and that will come. But working with those individuals, seeing the change in their life, seeing them be successful, seeing them attain a goal that they never thought was possible is so incredibly rewarding that I can't even describe what it's like. And it doesn't get any different with time. Like I said, I've been in education for 15 years. And now as I'm serving as a special education coordinator, it's a little bit different. I'm not in there with the students quite as much, but just thinking back on all the students' lives that I impacted, and really through not doing anything all great and wonderful, just being there for them, helping them, doing my job. Um, from the first time it happened till the last student I can remember it happening with last year. The feeling that I get from that doesn't change. It's never changed. It's always been the best feeling ever. So just know you will change the world. It may be one person at a time. It may not be one person at a time. It's you are going to change the world. So I look forward to hearing all of your videos, watching all of your videos where you introduce yourselves. I look forward to reading your discussions throughout the term, and you guys will be seeing me post videos every module, much like this one. A lot of them are shorter than this one is, because it's just basically introduction. Some of them go into a little more detail, but I am looking forward to working through with you all through the semester. Thank you.